Alright, our last example today, find the missing parts of the triangle. So once again, the directions tell me to find the missing parts. It's a right triangle. So the first thing I have to do is establish what do I know other than the right angle. So what do I know?
Two sides.
Two sides. Given two sides. So we're going to apply this technique now. Okay? So I know side 6, I know side 7, and I do not know x or a or b. So I don't know both angles and I don't know that missing side. So step 1, use the Pythagorean theorem to find the third side. Okay, it's a right triangle, so Pythagorean theorem's alive and well. Just because angles are thrown in there, a and b are thrown in there, Pythagorean theorem's still there. So I know that x squared plus 6 squared is equal to 7 squared. 6 squared being 36, 7 squared being 49. Which means that x squared has to equal 13. If I move the 36 over. So x is going to equal the square root of 13. And again, I want 2 decimal places here, so I'm going to type in my calculator square root of 13. Comes out to 3.61. Again, I want 2 decimal places, so x equals 3.61. We're going to go with that. And once I've done step 1, notice now I know 3 sides, right?
Yeah.
Alright? Now, step 2. Once again, this is the trigonometry step. This is where we're going to start involving sine, cosine, and tangent in our problem. Step 2 says, pick an acute angle you wish to find. Do you think it matters which one we pick?
No.
Bless you. Doesn't matter. So, do you want to find A or B?
B.
Find B. Whoever speaks up first wins. Alright, B. Alright, so we want to find B. So I have to establish the opposite, the adjacent hypotenuse for B. So what's opposite B?
6.
Okay. Go across the triangle, we find opposite, which is the hypotenuse? And which is the adjacent? Opposite the other one, right?
The other one.
That was one I always wanted to pick, right? Because you guys already did the hard work. Alright, so go across the triangle, you get opposite. Go across the triangle from the right angle, you get hypotenuse. The third side is the adjacent. Now, step 3 says determine either sine, cosine, or tangent. So let's look again, SOHCAHTOA. This does not say to find all 3, it says to pick one. Pick one. And I'm going to tell you there's one that's better than the other 2 in this case. And which one?
Sine.
Why do you think sine is better?
Because there's no decimals.
Good, no decimals. Also, even if it's a decimal, if it started off as a decimal, let's say this was 6.4 and this was 7.9 and this was 3.61.
That one's right.
This one's approximately right. These are exactly right. Okay? The ones they gave us, the 2 sides, when it says given 2 sides, the 2 sides they give us are exactly right. The side we found in step 1 is approximately right. So the 2 sides they gave us are always better to use. The 2 sides they gave me are opposite and hypotenuse, so sine is the best trig ratio to use. Cosine and tangent would work to get me an answer that's really, really close to the right answer, but they'll be approximately right with more error, whereas sine is going to give me the most accurate answer. Alright, so keep that in mind. I'm not going to count it wrong if you use cosine or tangent, but try and put some thought into it. Pick the one that's best every time when possible. Just know that if your answer is slightly off from the back of the book or somebody else you're checking work with, if you use the one that got you the most exact answer and they use one that gives you a more approximate answer, know that there's going to be some decimal point discrepancy there. Like if it's 12.93, this might be 12.96, this might be 12.90. Alright, so, and it's weird. I mean, just one's bigger, one's smaller. Maybe they're both bigger, maybe they're both smaller. There's no telling. Hello?
Hi.
Yep. I'll tell them. Thanks. Lexi and Quinn go to the opposite of the bell rings.
Okay.
Didn't sound like she was upset at you, so.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
Alright, so, sine. Now, again, writing a good trig ratio is important here. Sine of what?
B.
Sine of an angle, and the angle in this case is B, equals the ratio of opposite, which is 6 over hypotenuse 7. Every time you write a trig ratio down, you need to write it with that structure in mind. Trig ratio, sine, cosine, tangent, of an angle, the angle we chose in step 2, equals the ratio, in this case opposite over hypotenuse. I don't care about cosine or tangent. Only do one, that's all step 3 is. Then do the inverse of that trig function to find the angle measure. So step 4, pick a color I haven't used yet. So this is sine of B equals, so that means B is going to be the inverse sine of 6/7. So I go to my calculator and do second sine, so it says sine -1, 6 divided by 7, end parentheses equals. It comes out to 58.9972887. 2 decimal places will be 59, right?
that again, how to get to,
X comma.
right
Okay,
after sine.
okay. Real quick, just to make sure everybody understands here. Okay. What you always have to do with a math problem is recognize when it looks like this is what you do. All right? So when it looks like this, and you don't know what you're taking the sine of. The last problem, if you look at the last problem, sine of 35, cosine of 35. This problem, cosine of 24, tangent of 24. We knew the angles, so we just used those buttons, right? So they typed in sine of 24, tangent 24, sine of 35, cosine of 35. This says sine of b. I don't know what b is. So when you get to that point, sine of a letter you don't know equals a number you do know. You're going to do the inverse trig function. Whatever that is, you do the inverse thing of that. So sine inverse, which again is just the second button, then hit sine. It's right above sine there, sine -1, and then whatever the ratio is that it equals, 6/7 in this case. If it was a decimal, sine inverse of the decimal. All right? Fraction's better than the decimal in that situation. And again, that came out to 59.997, so it rounds up to 58.997, so it rounds up to 59.00, better known as 59. Feel free to leave the decimals off when it's 0.00. B is equal to 59 degrees. Step 5, once we know B is 55 degrees, now we're back to the very first step of the last problem, right?
Yep.
We know two of the angles. To find the third angle, A, we're just going to do 180 minus 90 minus the angle we know 59, which equals 31 degrees.
You wrote.
Yeah, you put 55 up as B.
Oh, thank you. A is equal to 31 degrees. At least I didn't do it down here where it mattered. B equals 59. Make sure you very clearly, when you have to find three things, A equals B equals X equals in this case, label them. Make sure I can see all those answers. Don't just write the numbers up. Put the letters attached to them. Circle them so I can find them easily in your paper. Okay.